Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we will have a React interview question that is simply your chessboard. I don't think that I need to explain you what is a chessboard. As you can see, we simply have a chessboard with alternate boxes of colors. Like I have used white and green. Usually it comes with white and black. So I've used green to make it look a bit attractive, right? A simple white and black will look boring. And the best part of this that you can create this chessboard with this much of code only. Yes, you got it right. With 3-4 lines of code, you can have this chessboard simply. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. So let me quickly have the component as well as import my CSS. So again, the shortcut. So simply let me have the CSS as well. And don't worry about the CSS. I will explain you the main parts here in the CSS code. So simply, we will have a div. So let's say the class name, simply your chessboard. Then I'll be using a constructor array. So whatever value we will give here, let's say we give 5. So this constructor array will create 5 empty slots for us. So what do you mean by this? Let me show you first. So if I have 5 here with constructor array, it will be simply 5 empty slots. So it will create 5 empty slots. It means whatever value I will give here, it will create that much empty slots for us. But these empty slots are not iterable. So we cannot iterate over them. So to make it iterable, we need to have simply spread operator. We need to use spread operator. So if we use spread operator, it would be simply so now these empty slots will get converted to your iterable elements that would look something like this. So before, when we simply used constructor array with 5, we got empty slots. To make it iterable, we used spread operator. So now it will be simply undefined. So now we can iterate over this simply. So as in our chessboard, what do we want? We simply have 64 boxes. So here we need simply instead of 5, simply 64. Then to simply iterate over these elements, we need to use a map method simply. So the first parameter that we do not need, as we don't need to have any value here, we only need the ID. So first parameter, I left it blank with underscore. So simply the second parameter ID, that's what we need, right? So then simply a div. So we need to have a key prop. Whenever we will use map method, always have a key prop. The key would be simply your ID. So now here what we need to do, we only need to have 2 classes, like 2 styling. So this, the basic styling, that is your container that will contain the boxes. So the container is this simply the big square, and this code, this much, is used to have this chessboard at the center of your page simply, and this grid template column, it means it will create 8 columns with 80 pixels, and the width simply, and here for our chessboard simply the boxes, we need to have 2 classes. The first class is the square. So simply your square, which will be your boxes. The width, as here we have the width and height simply. So this class will be responsible for your width, the width of this square. Then we need to have one more class, that is your green or white. So it means this div will have class name, the square, as well as your green or white conditionally. So the only thing we need to do, we need to have this class conditionally. So that would be our main simple line. So instead of the single class only, simply we need to have template literals, that is simply a backtick. Then the first class, that is your square. Then we need to have one more class conditionally, that is this, either green or white. So we will have the condition that is simply I mod 2 equal to your math.floor I with division operator as simply 8. Then again mod 2. So if this is true, then simply we will have white color. In the else part, we will have green. So not colors, the class name, simply white or green class name. And here, instead of I, you will have your ID. So simply your ID mod 2, your ID division operator 8. So now let's check. So see, our chessboard is ready. So we have alternate colors like white and green. So now let's break this line down. So simply, as we have this line, the main and the most important line, simply the whole logic of this chessboard lies here only. So you need to understand this line. So simply, so this line, that is I modulo 2, will be used for your column parity. So this line, that is math.floor, simply I division operator 8. So this much will be used to find your row. So simply your row number, and this complete line from here to here will be used for your row parity. The main logic lies here only. It means we need to simply, what we will do, we will compare our, let's say here only. So we will compare our column parity with our row parity. So if the column parity is equal to simply your row parity, so that time the color would be simply white. And if the column parity is not equal to your row parity, so that time the color would be simply green or black, whatever you want. And what do you mean by parity? Simply, so parity simply tells you whether your number is even or odd. So simply what we will check. So for your even numbers, let's say that will be simply 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 simply, and odd number. So for your even numbers, the parity would be simply 0, and for odd number, the parity would be simply 1. So we will compare this thing only, the even and the odd numbers. That is our parity 0 or 1. So with the help of this, we will simply have our chessboard. So let's have 2, 3 conditions. So let's take example of 3 into 3 matrix. As if we take the example of this, it would be quite lengthy and hectic. So let's understand with this small chessboard. Assume it to be a chessboard. So your chessboard of 3 into 3 simply. So let's say this is your row and this will be your column, right? So simply, as here we have ID that will start from 0 as you already know. So simply, and the row number would be simply 0, 1, 2 for column. So simply your first row 0, your second row, third row, and first column, second column, and third column. So initially, let's say for initial value that is simply ID 0. So this chessboard will have ID from, so I value would be simply from 0 to 63, right? As ID starts with 0, so it would be simply like this all the way to 63. So in total, it will have 64 values or 64 boxes, right? So, so let's have the initial value that is simply, so I would be simply 0. So let's say I equal to 0. Then let's have this value. So let's have that value here only. So this value we want, right? So I0, that time I mod 2, that is 0, mod 2, that will be simply your, let's say, so whenever I see modulo operator or maybe division operator, I simply do something like this to make it a bit easy. So it will give simply 0. So here the result would be simply, let's say here 0, 0 equal to math.floor. And what this math.floor will do, simply if you have value simply as let's say 0.57, then it will round it off to 0. Let's say you have 1.75, then rounded off value would be simply 1, and so on. So this part, that is your ID, that is 0. So 0 with division operator simply, then again 0, division operator will return the quotient and modulo will return the remainder, right? So again 0. So this also gave 0, then 0 modulo 2 again. So final value is 0. So finally your 0 will be compared with the 0. So this is your column parity, that is 0, and this is your row parity, that is again 0. So in the first case 0 compared with 0. So yes, it is true. If it is true, then simply the color would be white. So as we have the first color simply white, so let's have it white here. Now let's say again, this time I value simply 1. So again let's have this case. So again this condition, that is I modulo 2, then again, so this time it will give 1 simply. So 1 will be compared with this part. So now, so again your ID, that is simply 1. So 1 with division operator 8. So simply 1, 8, that will be again 0. So we need quotient. So it gives quotient. So simply 0. So again your 0 modulo 2. So the final value, that is your column parity. Simply 1 will be compared with your row parity, that is 0. So this is not equal. If this is not equal, then simply we will go for green. So as we have our chessboard simply, so see, for ID 1 we have green color, that is what we got when we solve this. So now let's take the final and a random case, that is simply let's have, so let's say here we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's take the case when our ID is simply 5. So ID 5, then again the same condition. So simply ID mod 2, that is simply 5 modulo 2 this time. So again 5 modulo 2. So simply, so here we got 1 again, that is for your odd parity value. As you know, for odd numbers you get 1 as the parity. So simply 1 the final value. Then again here 5 division operator 8. So this time 5 with 8. So it would give simply something around 6 to 5. Let's say something around 6 to 5, 0.6 to 5. So simply as we have used math.floor, so this value will be rounded off to 0. So again here we got 0, then again 0. So 0 modulo 2. So as you already calculated, for 0 modulo 2 the value will be simply 0 again. So the final values here, that is your column parity, that is 1, will be compared with your row parity, that is simply 0. So again the false condition. So again for the false part we have green. So again see, for your ID 5 again we have simply green color, right? So with this condition is satisfied, we will have white color, and for false part we have green color. So what we did, we simply have two class names. Initially the square, that is for sizes of the box, and then we conditionally added either green or white based on our condition. So the main logic lies here only in adding this class name that is green or white conditionally. So yes, that's it for this video. Hope you all understood about the chessboard in a much better way. So see you all in the next one. Till then, take care.